Hello, and welcome to Ticket to Life. And this is Henrie, and I am so honored that you have taken time out of your busy day to listen to Ticket to Life, either on the radio or on the podcast. You can hear Ticket to Life also, again, on any podcast platforms, or pretty much all of them, and on WDJY 99.1 FM Metro Atlanta. I have a contract with them until the end of December. Not sure what will happen after that, but anyway, thank you for listening. And I just don't want to make any political statements. I think I've mentioned this in the past. I don't like to talk politics. I don't know enough about politics, and I don't care to know enough about politics. If I wanted all that information, I would have gone into politics. So anyway, but I do have a little complaint about all the protests. Now, I really believe that we should all stand up for what we believe. But if you believe in something, I think you should really know more about it before you go out and hit the streets. I just wanted to mention this about the protests because I think it's sad that there are students out there protesting against Israel and some against Palestine. I think, that's great if that's what you need to do. But the sad thing is that many students aren't even sure of what they are protesting about or against or for. Okay, these kids, and yes, I said kids because they are kids. They just got out of high school, and I don't care if you're in your first year of college, you're still a kid. So a lot of them just kind of go with the flow, and they find out the facts. Oh, wait, no, they don't. But I think they should. They should find out the facts if they are planning to protest against a certain cause. It doesn't have to get nasty and loud because, trust me, a peaceful protest will get just as much media, if that's what you're looking for, than these loud and, I guess, violent protests that are happening in some where kids are getting arrested. So I just think that's great. If that's what you need to do, that's great. Then that's what you should do. But now there was an interview on, I guess it's a internet program. I don't know, Open Source Intel. And no, I don't know enough about it, but I know that's the name. And I'm not knocking them. They were just doing their job. And they interview a student, and she was at NYU. And she mentions, well, I was at Columbia, but now I'm at NYU. Now, I don't know if she was a student at either or. And she says, and so they ask her, so why are you here? And her answer was, I don't know. I thought I would support my friends because they said they were going to be here. What? Why are you there? I want to know why I'm going. And then, so she looks at another friend that's there and she goes, well, she asked her other friend, she goes, so why are we protesting? I know it's about Palestine and Israel. And the friend says, I don't know enough. I wish I had enough knowledge, but I don't know on this. But I'm here to support my friends. Well, let's just hope that the friends of friends at least knew why they were there and what they were supporting, or that someone or at least one person knew why they were there. Are you confused yet? Because these kids are confused, and I am sure their parents have told them, if you believe in something, then follow through. But also know the facts. But also, I'm pretty sure a lot of those parents are saying, wait, how much am I paying for you to go to college? So, oh well, those are my thoughts. I think it's funny. Maybe it's my age. I don't know. But if you are going to argue about something, and not even argue, if you want to protest or just explain something and why you believe in it, know the facts. Know at least 3 key elements, at least 3, of why this is happening, or if there's something you can do about it. And again, make it a peaceful protest. Back in the 60s, of course, I was in elementary school, but you had protests all the time with hippies and, make love, not war. And they were pretty peaceful that I know of. Of course, was I watching the news in elementary school? No, not really. But what I recall, I guess I should look that up. But anyway, I just found it interesting that people are out there protesting and they're not even sure why they're out there. So anyway, if there's any children out there, and I mean children, as you grow up, if you want to go and protest, you go do it peacefully, but know something about why you're there. So this podcast is about moms. Yes, Mother's Day is in May, and I don't know when you're going to hear this. You may hear it in December. I don't know. But anyway, so there are, the name of this podcast is The Good Mom or The Bad Mom. I like to say the good, the bad, and the ugly a lot because there's a Clint Eastwood movie that was made in the 70s, and that's what it was called. But I don't consider any moms ugly, so unless their personality's ugly, which, I'm sure we have all known someone like that. But anyway, so is your mom the good mom or the bad mom? Well, I hate to brag, but my mom was awesome. You thought I was going to say I was awesome, didn't you? No. I'm just a mom. But my mom was pretty awesome. There were 4 of us. And why do I say this? Well, I will tell you. She loved us. And she cared for us. And she did teach us right from wrong. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure I did do wrong a lot more than the other siblings because I was the youngest. Maybe not. But that's how I feel. And my mom was patient. And she was kind. But if she said no, it was no. And then if you disobeyed no, well, that was not good. That was how we learned to respect my mom, by listening. And even when I messed up, I could have done something horrible. I still knew that my mom loved me. And I knew that she cared for me. And I'm not talking about when I was young and little. I'm talking about teenage years. My dad had passed away. She became a single mom. I mean, I'm sure it was not easy, especially back in the 70s, for a single woman to be a single mom. Now, again, I know that not all of us have moms, and we were not that lucky to have a mom like that. Or blessed. I think that being a teenager is tough enough, but wait until you become a mom, and this goes for male and female, it's tough. And so, of course, my friend Google, I had to Google it, and there is qualities of a good mom. And this is what I found out. Qualities of a good mom are unconditional love, a sense of humor, active listener. That means to put your phone away, Mom. When your kid's trying to talk to you, you got to put the phone away. Because if your kid's trying to talk to you, it must be pretty important. Because a lot of kids don't want to talk to their parents. But if they want to say, Mom, can I talk to you about something? Put the darn phone away. Another good quality is being humble and respectful. And remember, kids, you should be respectful too. If your mom's going to respect you, you need to respect them too. And nurturing, empathetic, positive. And the list actually goes on and on. And some women are not meant to be moms. I'm not trying to be mean. But it's true. You know it, I know it, and they know it. I am totally being honest about this because I know some moms that they just can't wait for their kids to grow up and be out of the house, and they don't want to ever see them again. And I don't get that, but, we're all different. So think of this list I just said, or Google it yourself. And think of it, and now, that's a lot of stuff that you need to be a good quality mom. So I'm figuring if you have at least 3 of those qualities or 5 of those qualities, then you're probably doing pretty well. I don't think anybody has all those qualities. I actually Googled the qualities of the good mom because I know what I think is a good mom. And yes, I don't have all of those qualities, but I have some of them. But man, I wish I would have had Google back in the 80s. I would have been Googling all the time. Um, so then I wondered, surely they have something on Google on bad moms, but how do you word that? Well, I put in qualities of a bad mom and it came up with traits of a bad mother. Not moms, but mother. I thought that was kind of funny. So traits of a bad mother were, now, are you ready to hear this? Because I'm just passing these things along because I was curious what Google had to say. Because I must Google every day something. I'm watching a show on TV and I think, oh, I know that actor. So I Google it and just something like that. Or if you Google something, is that true? But anyway, so I just want everyone to know that these are just what I Googled and these are not my opinions. For a change, I can say that. And and so here goes, and hope you don't have 5 of these qualities. But I reading these, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've seen people do this, and I have been critical about certain things. No, maybe not critical, but I was just seeing some of these. I'm like, oh, I've done that. That made me a bad mom. No, it does not. We're human, but criticizing your child, because I know I am guilty of doing that. And humiliating your child. I hope I have never done that. And if I did, I'm sorry to my son and daughter. I hope I never have. I hope I never will. Little or no discipline. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but kids do like to be disciplined. That is a form of showing them that you care and that you're teaching them right from wrong. And I don't mean hitting your child for discipline or punishing them horribly. I just mean you can actually talk to kids. And if kids start saying, I hate you and I don't want to talk to you, and they slam the door, you know what? Let them chill for a bit because they're not going to stay in their room forever. And they will calm down because it's better than getting on to them and back and forth, back and forth. Just like you, I mean, especially when they're teens, those hormones are raging and it's hard. It's very hard because they just have so many things going on. And yes, I defend the teenager to a certain degree, but because by teen years, they should know right from wrong, but they don't. They're still learning. And the other thing is psychological abuse. Yes, we've heard about that before. And jealousy. Being jealous that your kid is doing something that you wish you could do, and you're just not very happy with them, or the kids may be jealous of you. Who knows? Boundary issues. You do have to respect their boundaries. I mean, my daughter is great. She's a great mom. She, my 4-year-old granddaughter, soon to be 5, will already know when she's upset. She'll go, Mom, I need my boundaries. And my my daughter knows, okay, good. So they take up a little time out. I'm all about adult timeouts. I need to go breathe by myself for a little bit. But anyway, I think that's great you as a parent should show, kids do need boundaries, but so do you. And controlling the controlling parent. Seeing that lack of empathy. You may not agree with what your child's going through, but you can't help it and you can't empathize with them, but just listen. Listening goes so far in a relationship with parents and kids. It just does. And yes, that list goes on too. I hope that you don't have all those. I mean, if you Google that, honestly, just Google it, you will find it was like, oh, I didn't think about this. I didn't think about, because you may never have had those issues. So it's interesting. Now, this part is my opinion. Okay, roll your eyes if you want, but it is my opinion. Now, if your mom or dad, but this is all about moms because this is when this podcast comes out, it'll be May. But like I said, you could hear it any time of the year. But if your mom helps you in any way as a child, as a teenager, college, adult, and they're always there for you, by all means, you are blessed. Don't roll your eyes because you are blessed. And they're going to go, well, she owes it to me. She's my mom. No, she owes you nothing. She owes you love, and you owe love and respect to her too. And if you are told that you are just like your mother and you aren't very fond of your mother, then you might want to tweak yourself to better yourself as parenting. Because I feel like I have changed things as a parent that I wish my mom would have done. And yes, my mom was a wonderful mom. But then I think back, I wish, of course, it was a different times. It was in the 50s and 60s and 70s. Jesus, I'm old. But anyway, I'm not old. I'm vintage. I think one of the main things, and you may think this is silly, but I used to wish she would have colored with me, get the coloring book and the colors and the crayons and colored. So I made sure to color with my kids because that meant my kids were probably, oh God, she wants to color again. But I that was something I wish my mom would have done. But she had 4 of us, and who has time to color with their kids? But I wish she would have had time. But it's not that she didn't, because she did. But I guess I was being selfish, and I wanted her to do it every day because I used to love to color. But so I did change some things. I felt like I was a little bit more understanding in the teen years, but I didn't, I wasn't a single mom either, like she was. Um, so I always say, and this is advice, you can listen, you can take it, but if your kid does something, and I have said this in many podcasts, if your kid does something and you get really upset, think back what you were doing at that age. More than likely, you were probably doing something worse than what they were doing, like staying up later than what they should, and you snuck out of the house. Yes, I am guilty. I did sneak out of the house. But anyway, but just think about that. Put yourself in their place, because times are different. Well, I didn't do that when I was your age. Well, it's a different time now, folks, with technology and so much out there for kids to see on the computer. And just remember, you can monitor anything that your kid does. They're living under your roof. You are loving them. You are taking care of them. You are showing them right from wrong, or at least I hope you are. But some moms are really struggling with life, because life is hard right now. It just is for a lot of people. And again, if you're not fond of your mom, talk to her. If you don't want to talk, then you know what? Tweak yourself to make yourself a better parent. Go seek some help. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. Go find a therapist. Go talk to your pastor. You don't have a church? Well, go find one. Go talk to someone. It will help you see why you're so angry, why they're so angry, why you just don't get along. So, and it is a struggle. It is such a struggle for parents for some reason. Well, everyone wants more money. Everyone wants to work and work and work, and they forget about, now I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of people do major work and forget about those important things of family. So when you become a parent, remember, you are creating this life. It's up to you to mold it the way you would like it, like person to be a good human being. And it is hard. Now, again, are there any perfect parents? No. Is there a perfect dad? No. Is there a perfect mom? No. Well, unless you are Jesus' mom, then probably you're pretty perfect to be pretty close to being perfect if you're married. So anyway, we celebrate Mother's Day once a year, and it's only once a year. And for some moms, they should be celebrated daily, literally daily. Pick up the phone, tell them, Mom, thank you. Mom, I love you. We may not always see eye to eye. And one day, guess what? They may not be there for you to pick up that phone. When my mom passed away, that was one of the hardest things, because I used to talk to my mom every morning. Literally every morning. I would call her or she would call me. And that was one of the hardest things after she passed away, that I couldn't talk to her anymore. So never take advantage of your mom, and never let your mom take advantage of you, because there are some moms that will take advantage of you, but never take advantage of just having your mom around. That is why communication is so important when they're young. just talk to your kids. Just talk about anything. They don't want to talk about their day? Fine. They will eventually. Tell them about your day. Because sometimes kids don't know the struggles, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to worry them." Kids aren't going to worry; they'll get over it. They're more in tune with their life. Well, they might worry. I don't know. You might have a worrier of a child, but I don't know about that. But anyway, so my kids will correct me. Oh, and that's what I meant. Wait, let me backtrack. Rewind. This about the communication. When you do talk to your kids, and you want to correct them, try not to yell. I'm sure I yelled at my kids. I know I did. But yelling or hateful or hurtful, literally words, try talking to them. It's just easier. And kids, please, please, please don't yell at your parents. Don't say hateful things and don't say hurtful things. Just like you don't want your kids to talk to you that way, you shouldn't talk to them. Do unto others as they would unto you. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. So back to my kids. My kids will correct me if I say something that I shouldn't have. Of course, my mouth has a mind of its own, and sometimes I just can't control it, and it just spews. And my son is funny, though. If I say something, he will call me mother. He always calls me mom, but he calls me mother. He goes, "Mother." And then I know my mouth just spewed out something. And now my daughter will just correct me. And that's okay because she's just like me. And I will say that's a good thing. Now, she doesn't spew like me. She's a better person. But when I say her personality is a lot like mine, not sure she would agree, but she will because she is like me. And I don't think that's too bad of a thing, but I'm not sure. Either way, I will tell you, I love my kids. I love that I am a mom. I love that I'm a grandmother. And don't forget, if you had a grandmother who has raised you, pick up the phone and tell them thank you. Tell them I love you. That's what you have to do. It's better to make someone feel better about your relationship than to make them feel bad about your relationship. So, anyway. How many of you have ever heard of Grimm fairy tales? Now, these were two brothers named Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm in Germany. And their first book was published back in 1812. Now, they wrote such stories some of you may recognize as Snow White, Rapunzel, Hansel and Gretel, Briar Rose, aka Sleeping Beauty. And I bet a bunch of you thought that Disney wrote all these movies and books. No, it was the Brothers Grimm. They did have to change some of the storylines because the stories were sometimes very gruesome and scary. And I'm sure if I would have read some of those stories to my kids, because I have 2 books of the Brothers Grimm's with their stories in them, I'm sure that my kids would have been terrified to go to sleep at night. But they always seemed to make the stepmothers, they were always depicted as not nice people. I guess you know that from all the Disney movies or stories you may have read to your kids. So anyway, there is a story, and it is called, and I'm going to tell you the story. I hope you enjoy it. The way I remember it. Anyway, and the story was called The Old Grandfather's Corner. Some of you may have already heard the story, but some of you actually might be able to relate to this story. So it's about an old man. And he had to move in with his son and daughter-in-law. Now, as we all know, some people have to do that nowadays. Well, he was pretty old, and he trembled and had trouble walking. I may be adding more to the story just to let you know. Anyway, so one day they're having soup, and he breaks the bowl. And it's a I don't know, glass china bowl. And they they get upset. Of course, in my opinion, everything's replaceable junk is replaceable. And to me, it's a bowl. It's a bowl. I mean, 100 years later, no one's going to remember the bowl. Well, anyway, One day he breaks the bowl, and I remember in the story, the daughter-in-law gets very upset, and she gets onto him. She scolds him, and he's careless, and she's just so upset about this bowl that breaks. So she goes and she buys him a wooden bowl, a carved like wooden bowl. And so they have a son, a little boy, and he notices that every time they have a meal, now his grandfather is sitting in the corner with his wooden bowl. So one day the little boy back in the day they gave knives to kids, so he's like carving something out of wood. And they ask their son, "So what are you making?" And he looks at him and he goes, I'm sure in the German accent, "Mama, Papa." No, I don't know. But anyway, "What are you making?" And he replies, "I am making 2 bowls so that when I grow up, you both can sit in your corner and eat your soup." So, of course, they were upset. They realized what they had done. And again, kids learn from parents. Even in the 1800s, when the Grimm brothers wrote this. So, of course, they cry and they ask the old grandfather, the old man, to please come sit back at the table. And they had another bowl for him to eat out of, and it wasn't wood. So if you ever read the story, I'm sure it will sound a lot better than what I remember it. But it is a very good story, and in my opinion, it's a story. The moral of the story is karma. Treat your mom and dad like you would like your children to treat you someday. They learn from example, right? So happy Mother's Day, 365 days a year, because all of you moms deserve it. One of the hardest jobs you will ever, ever, ever do is being a parent. Kids learn from example. Just remember that. So, dads, your day is coming up in June, and I will be saying Happy Father's Day to you. But for all parents, one of the hardest jobs in the universe is being a parent. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day. And please go find your blessings. It's probably your parents.